But I hope that at the end of it all, the House will come together in large numbers for Britain to play its part in defeating these evil extremists. And I commend this motion to the House.
The ayes to the right, 397. The noes to the left, 223. So the ayes have it. The ayes have it.
Ahead of the December 2nd vote by British Parliament authorizing the use of military force against ISIS in Syria, the leftist organization Stop the War Coalition held a series of demonstrations in London and several other cities across the UK to oppose the intervention.
Don't bomb Syria! Don't bomb Syria! Don't bomb Syria! Don't bomb Syria!
These demonstrations were extensively broadcast on 2 TV stations controlled by the Russian government and the Iranian regime, the very 2 countries that militarily intervened in Syria in order to save the brutal Assad regime that is bombing and massacring his own people. Russia Today aired the demos live and dedicated several programs to cover these events. The Iranian regime's English-language Press TV also covered the events.
The people of Britain have today spoken against more involvement in war by coming out onto the streets throughout the country. Anti-war activists have once again gathered in London to oppose Britain's plans to join the US-led coalition in Syria. The rally was organized by the advocacy group Stop the War Coalition.
Thousands of Britons gathered outside Downing Street and other places across the kingdom, urging the government not to have a military involvement in Syria.
The protesters here are saying that bombing Syria will only further destabilize an already unstable region, and they say that air raids on Syria will in no way make Britain a safer place.
One of the key speakers at these demonstrations was George Galloway, one of the coalition's most renowned patrons. Ironically, Galloway is a paid employee of both Russia Today and Press TV. The tragic irony is that while Galloway was making his passionate speech at the Don't Bomb Syria demonstration, both he and the coalition support the Syrian dictator's bombing of his own people and have also endorsed the Iranian regime's military intervention in support of the Syrian tyrant. In January 2012, at the beginning of the Syrian civil war, at a time when ISIS did not exist and the Assad regime was massacring its own people, the Stop the War Coalition organized a rally in London against the alleged US warmongering intentions towards Iran. At the rally, many Hezbollah flags were waved in the crowd, as did a large Syrian flag bearing President Bashar al-Assad's portrait, while Iranian regime supporters chanted, "God bless Khamenei."
God bless Khamenei! God bless Khamenei! God bless Khamenei!
A Free Iran placard stood out, which was promptly removed by organizers after its bearer started shouting in opposition to the Iranian regime. Later, in June 2014, the Syrian dictator organized a sham election in order to legitimize his government. Obviously, he was counting on the support of people like Galloway to sell this shameful charade.
The Syrian election result, and especially its turnout, should deal a death blow to the Western-backed conspiracy against Syria. More than 70% of the Syrian people voted, whilst a war was going on, to re-elect overwhelmingly the President Bashar al-Assad.
Moreover, Galloway has openly supported the Iranian regime's military intervention in Syria to prevent the downfall of Assad.
And my friend said, well, George Galloway is towing the line of Iran, and Iran are not innocent in this situation. Is there any criticism of the Iranian government for backing Bashar al-Assad 100%?
No,
unconditionally? What's your view? I just want you to come back on that.
I'll be as frank as you've been, Julian.
Thank you.
The Iranian government fully supports Syria in its resistance to this international conspiracy against it. And I'm very proud of them for doing so.
Clearly, Galloway and his anti-war colleagues will have no objections as long as any foreign military intervention in Syria doesn't undermine the regime, but boosts Assad's grip on power.
Do you support Russian attacks on the anti-Assad forces in Syria?
I do, if as they are, coordinated with the Syrian government's army. And if we coordinated our involvement in Syria with Russia and the Syrian government, I'd support that too.
Supporting the Syrian dictator and his Iranian backers is yet another revealing example of how Galloway and his colleagues at the Stop the War coalition used the peace mantle as a disguise to serve the Iranian regime's interests while defending Tehran's regional ambitions. Galloway was a member of Parliament for the Labour Party from 1987 to 2012, and then as an MP for the Respect Party until May 2015, until he lost his seat in the general elections. According to his website, he is planning to run in the London mayoral elections in May 2016. Galloway is a UK politician employed and remunerated by the Iranian regime and the Russian government. According to the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, which reports how much each MP was paid besides their salaries, George Galloway receives payments from 3 foreign television stations: Al-Mayadeen, which is an Iranian-backed Hezbollah channel in Lebanon; LBP TV, a channel broadcast out of the offices of Iran-backed station Press TV; and Russia Today, Putin's propaganda channel, where he has a weekly slot. In the first 4 months of 2014, Galloway received £65,000 from these channels, making an annual income of £200,000. Galloway first started producing programs for Press TV during Ahmadinejad's presidency.
Welcome to The Real Deal with me, George Galloway. Every week at this time I'm here at Press TV in central London.
The aim of his weekly slots was to defend Iran's policies.
The truth is, Ahmadinejad is not an extremist. He's absolutely correct. And everybody should get behind him. And anybody who actually listens to his speech or his press conferences, can understand that he's speaking the truth and actually in a very winning way.
Following the world media coverage of Iran's national uprising in protest to the sham elections in 2009, the Iranian regime was desperate to repair its badly damaged reputation, and to that end, in 2010, Ahmadinejad's government spent tens of millions of dollars flying hundreds of Iranian expatriates for a conference in Tehran. As one of the key speakers, George Galloway gave a speech in defense of the Iranian regime.
I recently returned from Iran. I was attending a conference, a kind of vast ingathering of Iranian expatriates from around the world, from Australia, from America, from Britain, from all over Europe. They had gathered together in Tehran to show their support for Iran.
In 2013, when Rouhani came to power, he started a new program titled Comment.
Welcome to Comment with me, George Galloway, here on Press TV, still the voice of the voiceless.
And in 2014, he started working for Al-Mayadeen TV, appearing on his weekly show titled Kalima Hora.
Welcome to Kalima Hora with me, George Galloway, here on Al-Mayadeen television. We are on this wonderful summer evening in the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon at the Arab Nationalist Youth Camp, which means my audience this evening comes from 15 different Arab countries.
He defends the Iranian regime on his weekly programs and tries to justify their regional policies. Let's take a look at some of his impassioned speeches. He claims that Iran is a democracy and that the sham elections, where voters are forced to choose between the regime's own hand-picked candidates, are fair and democratic.
Iran actually has a real, live, democratic polity. The Iranian people can elect a parliament, and their elections are very hotly contested. At least the Iranian people can choose a president. And of course there is a supreme leader in Iran, because there is a political system in Iran which is unique to Iran. And the Iranian people made a revolution in order to bring this system about. And this supreme authority of religious people is what the mass of the Iranian people want.
According to Galloway, not only does Iran not treat women as second-class citizens, but they hold high power positions and are involved in the management of the country.
Actually, Iranian women run Iran in Tehran. Women are in all the important positions in the media, in banking, in education, in public life. Everywhere you see women in Iran.
This is while, according to the annual Global Gender Gap Report published by the World Economic Forum, Iran ranks in at 141 out of the 145 countries covered by the report. It is also worth mentioning that only a few days ago, Iran banned women from performing music in public. Galloway has also gone out of his way to defend the terrorist group Hezbollah and its leader Hassan Nasrallah, whom he claims is the Islamic world's most popular leader.
Now, yesterday in Beirut, I had a meeting with one of the main leaders of the Lebanese resistance, Hezbollah. But the most popular man by a long way in the entire Arab world is Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah. And this is because he is a true and genuine leader. Alhamdulillah, may God protect Sayyid Nasrallah, the leader of the Lebanese resistance. I think that Hassan Nasrallah is the best leader in the Muslim world. Hassan Nasrallah is a very great man indeed.
The Stop the War Coalition was formed in 2001 in opposition to the US and UK invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq. After 2006, it shifted its focus to opposing sanctions against Iran and was gradually morphed into a pro-Tehran advocacy group. In 2005, when Ahmadinejad became president, the regime launched a vast campaign to attract American and British anti-war movements to its cause. Abbas Edalat has been Tehran's point man to manipulate the UK anti-war coalition. We see him here speaking at one of the coalition's meetings. Here we see Edalat at the New Year's gathering in the Iranian embassy. For almost a decade, the coalition portrayed Iran as a victim of US warmongering policies and defended the Iranian nuclear program.
We don't attack the Iranian government in the Western media, and this is crucial. This is crucial. Our job in the West is to put pressure on the British government, on the US government, on Israeli government to stop this intention of attacking Iran. So the demand to stop the enrichment of uranium called in the West will play directly into the hands of the warmongers, because this is exactly the central issue that the US is trying to distort the real issues about the Iran-US standoff. As a lot of people have said, it's not about the Iranian nuclear issue. It's not about this so-called Iran's support for terrorism, right? There's no evidence for any of these two things. Either a weaponization program in Iran or Iran's fomenting violence in Iraq in order to push the Americans out. There's no evidence for this. The Americans have not been able to provide any evidence for that. When there is a standoff between Iran and the US, we should be on the side of Iran 100% against US and all its imperial intentions.
Each year, the Iranian regime organizes the Quds Day rally in several key cities around the world, a ritual initiated by Ayatollah Khomeini in 1979 to commemorate the struggle to liberate Jerusalem from the Zionist occupation. The Iranian regime attempts to present itself as the leader of the Palestinian cause, or as they put it, the axis of resistance. This helps the regime recruit among Middle Eastern and Muslim immigrants in the West, notably Britain. The Stop the War Coalition has always assisted the Iranian regime's Quds rally in London, and the coalition leaders have appeared as key speakers of the event. Here, Jeremy Corbyn, the current Labour Party leader, who was the coalition's chairman from 2011 until September 2015, speaks at the Iranian regime-sponsored Quds Day rally. Meanwhile, the Stop the War Coalition events have also often included pro-Tehran Islamists. At a 2007 rally, Mousavi, a Hezbollah representative, was a key speaker.
Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be upon you all.
The Stop the War Coalition's efforts and activities demonstrate the Iranian regime's success in hijacking part of the anti-war movement in the West. Unfortunately, the peace activists' naivety has allowed people like Galloway to fill their pockets by exploiting the peace movement to serve the Iranian tyrants and their regional proteges like the Butcher of Damascus and proxy terrorists like Hassan Nasrallah.
Welcome to Comment with me, Jeremy Corbyn. Please call in or email us, comment@presstv. We've now got a call from Abdul from Birmingham. Abdul, what's your point, please? You're on Comment now.